Have you ever compared yourself to a plant, to a tree, to anything that grows out of the ground? Even in the desert, things grow. But do they grow at the same rate that they do in the grasslands? Where the place where there's nourishment, where there's minerals, where there's the things that it needs to grow to its fullest potential. Are you that individual that's living in a desert right now? Are you striving and pushing and growing as hard as you can, only to be given back something very small, unfulfilling? That's all right. What you need to do is find the opportunity to find the nutrients. And just like those plants out there, just like those trees that have grown up and blocked the sun so you have a spot to sit and relax in the shade, you can be that tree. But you got to put yourself in an environment where it's full of nutrients and the things that you need to grow and survive. Assess yourself right now. Look out into your life and look at the things that are actually giving to you, that are fulfilling you and raising you up to be that high tree that creates shade, not just for yourself, but for your family, your friends, and your community. And just because you're in the desert, it doesn't mean that you can't be transplanted. It doesn't mean that you can't be taken out of the desert and put into an environment where you can grow. But it's going to be up to you to make that change. It's going to be up to you to do something different, to put yourself in a different place. Perhaps you did what it took right now by watching this show. Roll that intro. I want to thank you for joining us on the Man Up and Own It show, where we talk about situations and experiences that men that have made just so they can get through it, and share the stories to you out there on how you can do something different to potentially get you an outcome that you dream of. Now, I want you to take this opportunity and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, so you can get all the episodes that drop out in the future. And today, I have the greatest of honor to be surrounded by men, but specifically have the opportunity to have an amazing man, the master of the soil, the master of the nutrients, Patrick King.
Bada boom, bada bing.
The Soil King. Yo, thanks for joining us.
And it's an honor to be here, brother. It's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You know, I got to watch you virtually for a while, and through some of the guys that I have met and learned to respect because of the actions that they take, that you were involved with them. And so I knew that they wouldn't have less in their life. So you were someone that I should pay attention to. And I've got to say that I'm not disappointed. And we just had you on as a panelist for our Father's Day event for the Legacy of Leadership dinners, and you did not disappoint.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I mean, you know, I'm built by my story, man. I live my story. You know, I'm right here. I'm right here, right now. You know, living the dream of today, not worrying about what's coming tomorrow, and I don't give a fuck about what happened yesterday.
That's good.
Yeah.
So let's get a little insight into who you are today and what it is that you do to bring so much fulfillment to others.
I mean, I think that goes back with a lot. There's a lot that I do, so I'll try to just hit on, and it always again, everything on me, all my jewelry, you know, this is this is St. Croix. This was a native lady who built. Everything is a story to me. So my life, I am built. When I say I'm built by my story, I'm built by my story. You know, I know my parents loved me, had a hard time, you know, divorced parents. A lot of us had problems growing up, you know, incident happened, whatever. I came home when I was 13 years old to a locked house, and my mom moved out and left me on my own. And at that point in my life, I had to defend for myself, right? And it was really difficult. But I'm not saying that. The reason why I like to talk about that is because it built me to where I'm at today. And those people that thought those were disabilities in my life, I overcame in their abilities. So because of that situation in my life, I washed my hair in a creek and would try to ride my bike to school without an alarm clock to get up. I mean, a lot of things like that. And I bought my first house at 19, and I started my first plumbing company at 18, bypassed high school, and I was an entrepreneur built by it.
It sounds to me like the struggles that you have gone through didn't break the foundation. It actually created a more solid foundation, and probably a wider one that you could build a much larger mansion on.
I mean, I couldn't imagine if I went to, if life was perfect growing up, going to school, ended up in college, I'd be in a cubicle right now. I mean, I'm a character because of where I came from, right?
Right. And it's the embracement of it and the gratitude for it.
Absolutely.
That has created so much success for you. Recently, we were just talking about some of the hard times that you went through and how it's actually helped you become more of a capable business owner. Can you give a little insight into the pain of what it was and how that's driving you to be better today?
Yeah, and it's through the failures in life where the greatness arises, right? In every aspect of my life. Like we just talked about me being a kid. That could be such a horrible thing, but it was such a blessing.
Right.
And in business, every business has a struggle. Anybody an entrepreneur out there that's been through it, they're feeling it right now. As a builder developer, I was a builder developer doing, custom homes, subdivisions, and, all of that. And 2008 downturn was a pretty good hit. I was a millionaire in my 30s and lost it all at that point. Redeveloped myself as the soil king and did my passion. My passion has always been, my first memory was my hands in the soil in a strawberry patch. And that's been the most consistent thing in my life. Still today, I touch the soil every day, take my shoes off. I got thongs on. I'll put my feet out. It's really weird, man. I'm an energy guy. And I feel like my foundation and stability in life comes from the most common thing in my life, and that's hands in the soil.
It's the foundation in which almost everything grows from, right?
It really is.
So how does that relate, the soil and the nourishment that you get from it? How is that related to what you do in your family?
I mean, this is such a great question, man. This is a great question because it gives me everything. So I can go to work. I can have the stressed out day. We got finance. When you're working for yourself and you have multiple companies, it's like, it's chaotic. It's constant chaoticness, right? Yeah. When I go home, I have some plants growing. And I go home, I'm digging my hands in my soil because I make my own soils and I know how clean it is, and that's a whole nother subject. But, I can pull a handful of soil up and there's worms and there's life and there's everything, all the biological values that are in the soil are the same concept in biologics in your microbiome system. It's identical. Yeah. Right. So my serenity, everything comes from that. So applying that to my family at home, I get to put my cell phone down. I get to put my work down. I get to relax and get one with God and one with myself and one with the earth, just locked and loaded. And then I get to apply that to my family, right? And I get to walk in the house and,
one of the things that I've heard you talk tremendously about is the relationship that you have with your wife.
Yeah.
And we look at like how plants grow, right?
Yeah.
It's not one thing that makes the plant grow. Yes, you need a good soil. You need good, hearty nutrients in the soil.
He did say good soil. You hear that? There's not a lot of that out there, by the way.
See what I mean? And there's not. And there's not a lot of good soil around us as human beings. Mm-hmm. However, when you get good soil, you get good water, because we know the water is shit right now also.
Yep.
And then you get sunlight,
Yep.
soil, your foundation, your community, the water, your wife,
Yep.
and then God,
Yep.
Son.
Yep.
What happens?
I mean, life begins.
Absolutely.
You know, that's
and
the joy of life.
and it flourishes, right?
It absolutely.
So what has your wife done for you that's helped structure you into becoming the man that you're proud of today?
Well, I think that goes back a little bit with Amy when, wasn't too many years ago. I had a multi-million-dollar empire sitting on the top, built a found, never had to work again, had houseboats. The toys are just like, this is how God works, right? This is really, let's go deep for a second. This is how God did it, right? He said this egomaniac who says he believes in Jesus really doesn't, right? Doesn't show it. His actions aren't there. His life, he built it and he left everything behind. He's got this ego and he's picking all these people up and taking them everywhere. When Amy and I got together, in the back of my head, I said, man, is she with me for fame? I'm not the most handsomest guy in the world. I'm sexy, but I don't know if I'm handsome. But
Look out, Kevin Costner.
there we go. And so I didn't know that. And all of a sudden, God said, man, I'm going to teach this guy a lesson. He's a warrior and I need him on my team, and he's not paying attention now. And the only way to get his attention is to kick his kingdom out from underneath him. And God did that, man. He wiped it completely out. And what I realized through that process was there was only a few people left that wanted to be around me, and I wasn't a good individual. I wasn't angry. I was angry. I pushed everybody away from me, trying to fist fight my son. All this stuff was going on. There's so much to that breakdown and where I'm at today. So when you say where it started with her, and she never left me.
She never gave up.
She never gave up. My son never gave up. One of my daughters never gave up, and they knew what I was capable of, and I wasn't capable of myself, right? And God stepped in, and He just rebuilt everything. So I think if I didn't have that happen in my life, I wouldn't value Amy as much as I do today.
Good.
Always in the back of your head, I'd be thinking, she's still with me for money. No, she stayed with me through the wreckage, man.
Right.
She stayed with me through the broke joke. She stayed with me believing that, I'd come back stronger, better, and a warrior for God, man.
And you have, right?
100%.
You told me that you had lost how much weight?
I used to weigh 290. I weigh 190 now.
Ba-na-ba. Woo! That's what I'm talking about, bro.
Yeah.
So 100 pounds down.
Yeah.
And how does your feeling towards yourself exist right now?
I can tell you this is a great question, too. Great questions, Chris. And so today I'm the best man at 55 years that I've ever been in my life. And you ask me, why is that? Simple reasons, right? It's because I know what my passion and my direction is. I know where I'm headed, my purpose. I'm clear as clear. I don't have exactly how I'm going to get there, but I believe in faith. Mm-hmm. Right? I didn't have faith before. When I was going through my worst and, bankruptcies and all this shit was happening, I was always worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. How am I going to get through this? Instead of focusing on, I got to get through today, right? And when things come at me, and when you're in business for yourself, it's mad, it's crazy,
it's like,
the stuff that comes at you, and I know I can take anything on, and I can come to a solution with it, and I don't have to worry about it tomorrow because God's going to deliver.
Right, and you just got to show up and follow the plan that He's put in front of you.
And the plan is simple. The plan for me is wake up early. Right? I write in my journal every day, my planner, I do a gratitude list. And then under that, I do my ask, right? If you ask not, you receive not. That's facts, right? Yeah. God wants you to have what you want. And what He'll do is line you in that cylinder where it works for Him as well, right? He wants me to have what I want. I ask Him, today I'm going to do a sale. I mean, that just happened. I just did East Coast, New York distribution, sold truckloads of soil and put this whole deal together, right? And that was my ask. And it happens. And the best part about writing these things down, some people say, write a gratitude list, write 3 of them. You'll see that people say that. No, that's not it. Because my thought is, what if I wake up tomorrow and God says you can't have anything but what's on your gratitude list. And I think about those things, right? On my gratitude list, right? You were on my gratitude list this morning.
Really?
Coming in here. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
My kids and the essential things. My gratitude list isn't, hey, thanks. Me selling truckloads of soil and setting up distribution in New York, that's not on my gratitude list. That's on my ask and my, I thank God for that stuff. But my gratitude is just simple, man. I woke up today. My dog smiled at me, right? These are simple things, the necessities in life to carry you further.
Absolutely.
It's the small things.
But the small things are actually what destroy us. And a lot of people don't give value to the small little acts. They've put so much emphasis on these big, exuberant things that happen so rarely, but all the little things that are happening constantly, if we gave value to it, just like you bring up right now, we could be living a life just like the Solar King, having abundance.
And now I'm the Solar King.
Oh, Solar King, Soil King.
Hey, I'll take it. I'm a king, man. It don't matter. You can fit any.
I mean, in a way, though, it is kind of like the solar, right?
Yeah.
You're bringing energy.
100%.
You might be fulfilling the earth with better soil, but we're all investing in others and ourselves.
I've been called the Soul King.
The Soul King.
I've been called that, yeah.
Patrick the King.
Yeah.
I mean, that is your name. Dude, so what's something that you've gone through that you think another man could get some benefit from?
I mean, my podcast is called Built for This, and this is great that you and I have we want to talk about the realness, right? A lot of times you'll hear, and when you're going through stuff, a lot of times you'll hear how great people are when they're speaking. Oh yeah, I made all these businesses, I've done all this, I'm at the top. But nobody wants to talk about the real grit, right? I mean, there's a 1% of entrepreneurs out there that when they fall, they learn how to fall forward. Yeah. Right? And to keep going when everybody's against you, when you go through that, and you guys are feeling this right now, when you go through that, and your family says that you should have went in a different direction, we told you so. All of a sudden, your great friends that are around you thought really loved you, you don't have nothing to offer them at that time. They're gone, right? And this is the reality. That's why it's so important when you're manifesting your dreams and understanding that your imagination isn't when you throw things at the wall and you're a dreamer. Don't tell everybody all that stuff, man, because if it doesn't come out, you get all they aren't at the level of understanding what you are, because God didn't put us all equal, right? Like I said, There's 1% of us that actually make a difference on manifesting dreams and hitting our goals and putting fucking goals in the pipeline.
Yeah. Well, I think that is the true testament of who you're surrounded with. If it's someone that's quality to you, right? Mm-hmm. And you share your dream with them and they instantly shoot it down and encourage you not to pursue it, then are they really in it for you? Now, there could be something like, hey, man, you probably shouldn't go Evel Knievel and try to jump over the Grand Canyon, especially if you've never rode a motorcycle before. But like for me, for example, I have distanced myself away from people that haven't pushed me and held me accountable to the goals that I have set, to the dreams that I want to accomplish. Like my dinners, for example. If they don't want to be supportive and help push me into being better at it and give me criticism at how we could improve things and make it more inclusive, then I don't get upset with them. I just move on. Just moving forward. And
I think that has, I look at some of my family that, I have naysayers. My stepmom, Penny, wonderful lady, and I love her to death, and she has come full circle in my life today, but she's a dream smasher. She always has been, but it's not because she's a bad person, it's because she cares enough about me to feel like she can direct me in the right, and I don't listen, right? So, and then so you have those people that love you and they don't do it mischievously. But then you have people in your life, that are so fucking jealous of everything you execute. And those are the the real ones you have to watch out for, because they'll sabotage you in every way. You know, they'll hit on your old lady. I mean, there's so much that goes on with that. And so not everybody is ever going to understand us. And so we don't need to reveal everything that we're going to do.
I agree.
Right. And so the biggest lessons I learned, and I'll just make this quick, but I think the biggest lesson on the last implode I had was I built this 747. I think we talked about this the other day. I built this. This is the way I'm a guy that throws vomits on a whiteboard. I got whiteboards everywhere. It's visual, 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 right? And so I built this 747, this business that was unstoppable, built the whole plane, man. And it was great. And I took everybody with me. I had employees. I had their families. I had kids. I had everybody's calling me uncle and you know, love. I have so many people on this line that I'm carrying, and I'm feeling great because my ego is involved. That people, look what I'm accomplishing all this for everybody. I'm this great guy. Plane takes off, you know, it's cruising. Everybody's, you know, having cocktails. I don't drink, but everybody's having cocktails and hanging out. And then it starts pittering out in the air. Everybody grabs a parachute and they all jump out, right? They all jump out and leave me. And I'm like, hey, where did everybody go? There's a couple maybe, but in life, the plane's going to crash land. Somehow I have confidence in myself, right? I know I'm going to figure it out. I built it and I landed on the landing strip. It's out of gas and it's sitting there for a couple months, right? As I'm broke and I can't figure it out. And I start filling it up with gas. It's out of gas. Start filling it up with gas. And all the people come back to me. And they all start coming back and they say, I knew you could. You know, they sold me out, but they knew I could. And so inside you internally get these resentments and angers and hate starts coming on. And I got to process that. As God starts intervening in my life, I got to figure out how to not let people rent space in my head and do forgiveness. And I really love them. So I come up with this theory of categorization of between reciprocal relationships and acquaintances. And this is really in life, this was mind blowing to me, especially in businesses. I don't have to not like those people. Mm-hmm. I can still love them. Their kids can call me uncle. I can still be part of their lives and I can have that. But what I was cutting out was the most important people, the reciprocal relationship, those who gave their energy to me. And instead of giving me the same energy back, I spread it amongst everybody. Mm-hmm. And so the lesson here is everybody, I could still love those people, but I don't have to bring them that far into my life. Yep. And that energy now that I have, I can give back to those who reciprocate the same with me. And there's very few of them, Chris. There's very few of them.
I agree.
You know?
100%.
And they deserve that time. And they hung out. Amy's one of them. My kids are one of them. Jeff. And I have an employee that's Michael Williams that has stayed with me through thick and thin. Dan Turby, there's a number of these people who believed in me and never gave up on me, and they are fully, Alan Atkinson and Tim McCormick, my business partners, those guys believed in me and showed up when I couldn't deal with myself. Picked me up and baby slapped me on the butt and said, you just keep going. It's going to be all right.
Don't quit.
Those guys get my full attention now. I split and they get equity in my businesses I'm building. I mean, all of that. Like, I know where my team is. I got it now.
And I think one of the cool things as those people jump out of the plane, because let's be honest, they're scared.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is projecting their feelings onto you and doing things that makes them feel safe and comfortable. Mm-hmm. But as they eject themselves, the gratitude for them to leave is like, wow, now I've got new seats on this plane. Mm-hmm. And now I can bring in some new people that can aid in my new journey. Mm-hmm. They can aid in the experiences, and I can evaluate them because I have new understanding as to what type of people do I actually want around me. And oftentimes, if we get stuck trying to put everybody either in a box or protect ourselves from the pain that we've gone through, whether it was an individual or an experience, then we limit our ability to use that awareness to actually do the classifications that you said, make assessments, find out who people truly are, what their actual intentions are, what do they want to accomplish, and are we a good relationship or benefit to each other? Can I contribute? and can we benefit mutually off of each other? And once I recognized that, I got the opportunity to start meeting people like Tab Pierce, Blake Hahn, Dave Waltzer.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden I was like, dude, if I'm having this much fun, there's got to be other people these guys know that we all should get together. And now look at us. Like, we have fucking podcasts, we got dinners, we're going to go to a UFC fight together.
This weekend.
Right? Now, granted, when this comes out, the fight will have been over and the Soil King and I will have had a blast. But the reality is the investment in quality relationships and how can we not just receive, but also deliver for them.
Yeah, and putting the right people, like my mentors around me. It's so important. I just got off Greg Reed is one of my, he's family to me, right? And he saved my life. He did some things that he didn't do. It's so funny, man. But today I just got off a phone call with him, and I got set up distribution in New York on plant touching side of the business. So picks and shovels and fertilizers and everything. I mean, baller stuff, right? And he asked me, he goes, well, did your balls drop? And how did it go? Are you excited? Like, are you jumping around? And I said, no, hold on a second. I'm not. When I sell 40 truckloads, I'll know, I'll feel it. And he says, that's wrong.
Yes.
That is wrong. He goes, you go and celebrate today. He goes, you just did the impossible thing in 30 days where I've seen you come through in the last few months to where you're at today. He goes, this is a milestone and you celebrate yourself, because if you don't, what are you teaching yourself?
And what are you teaching the people around you?
That's another thing, And I'm like, absolutely. And the other milestone is that him and I are business partners on a whole nother adventure out in New York. I set up distribution on the cannabis side and I'm running a bunch of stuff out there. And so all of that, and I'm early agriculture. There's no segregation in agriculture, but I understand, I was the first license given in the state of California, micro license for cannabis. I still own that stuff. And I wish I really never did all that, but it was a financial learning lesson for sure on some businesses too that were difficult. But yeah.
Dude, think about it. If you wouldn't have gone through those things that you may not necessarily be so proud of right now, mm-hmm. you wouldn't be the amazing Soil King today.
I think you said it though when you said if I didn't go through those things I'm not so proud of. The best thing that ever happened to me in every growth opportunity in my life was a collapse.
Yeah.
If it was relationships, even deaths, as hard as they are, the experience you get out of them, the memories you get out of them. My father, right? I think of him a lot right now on times, and he used to be a businessman. I used to ask questions, my mentor, and he'd never give me the right answer. He'd just tell me I was a fool. But when you go through all these different things, they build you, right? It makes you think. It's like we talked about breaking patterns, right? Your life goes really good, then something massive happens, and you have to redevelop that. It's what you do with those times that make you a great man, mm-hmm. or you got to deal with a failure over again because you didn't learn a lesson.
Right. Well, and that's earlier you and I had talked about the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah.
And in it that he talks about the meaning of life is solving problems. But he said the key to life is to learn from those problems.
Yeah.
To be able to take the information and the stories and what you got back from it and be able to apply it to the new problems that come so you can solve problems at a faster rate. Yep. If you wouldn't have gone through the stuff that you went through, I can almost guarantee that the stuff in New York wouldn't be a probability.
I mean, I look at that. I go, that's why the greatest thing that happens to me is failure.
Yes.
Every fucking time. The greatest man that comes out of failure is what you're looking at right now.
Especially the one that doesn't give up.
Yeah.
Just like you said.
There's no quit. It just builds.
Your partner's tapping you on the butt, making you get up, mm-hmm. helping you move forward.
Yeah.
And surrounding you with excellence.
Mm-hmm.
So the question that I guess I have for you is, how do we do that better for the other men around us?
This is a good question. And this is part of my podcast too. So when I'm going through the worst of my life and I'm alone and I'm trying to figure out, bankruptcies and things like that, and how do you get through all this stuff with no money? It costs money, right? I have, 4,000 square foot garden centers, soil facilities, all this stuff. It was like top of the mountain, making millions, and then all of a sudden gone, right? A couple wrong people on my team cost me millions of dollars, and mistakes all of a sudden happen, including my own. All of it's my responsibility because I'm at the top calling decision and not managing correctly. So all the responsibility comes up to me, not looking at financial sheets, trusting other people that when they say it's all good, and it's not. I mean, all that stuff. So to answer that question, it's a very powerful question. The question is, when you're the reason I have built for this podcast, because I went through so much and going through bankruptcy. I got YouTube videos. You're asking everybody. You call an attorney. Every attorney has a different answer for you and a pay number, right? All your friends or people that have gone through it, there's really nobody to ask about it. But you can go on and see how, these businessmen have gone through it, and they tell you how great life is after it. But nobody wants to talk about the embarrassing moments to go through it. And I can tell you right now, for me, it's the opposite of embarrassment. So that's why I respect you so much, Chris, on asking those questions in this podcast right here, because when people like me go through the worst of the worst, my options were suicide, right? That was my option. My option was to quit and turn around and just start drinking and leave and quit.
Suicide.
Or figure out a solution to the problem. And there was no one feeding me the solutions I needed for a business collapse at that moment.
So you had to go out and do it.
I had to go figure it out. So for me, it's not embarrassing for me to go through it. I want to share those skills. I want somebody to call me and say, in fact, it's happened right now. Yesterday, I got to get on a phone call tonight with someone who's crying and saying, look, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I lost everything. I want to be that phone call. I want you to go on YouTube and see your podcasts, right? I want to go on and be able to find these solutions that other people have gone to, and people out there talk about this, because guys like me need your help. When if you're a business entrepreneur, if you have failed, which most of you had in business, some massively, and you're still moving forward and you made it back to the top, the most important thing you can do is share those moments.
So if they want to get a hold of you and they want to take this opportunity because you spoke something into them, how do they do that?
Man, you just Google Soil King, everything comes up, right? And you'll find numbers for me. Reach out to Chris. You'll go to the podcast, put it in the comments. I mean, pretty much you can find me in my emails, patrick@thesoilking.com. But if you just Google Soil King or the Soil King, everything's gonna pop up, and there's a yellow brick road to get to reach me, and I answer on the other side.
Well, unfortunately for us and for you out there today, this wraps up our moment with the Soil King. And dude, it's been an honor to have you on the show. And I think someone out there can take advantage of this opportunity and build a relationship with someone like him that can do something beneficial for you to be in the spot that you want to. And I want to thank you out there for subscribing and liking this podcast. This is the Man Up and Own It show, where we share the stories of men and the things that they've gone through, of the difficult times and how they've overcome it, in hopes to help you do something better with your life by doing something different. Thank you.